Communication is arguably the most delicate constraint when working in Agile. Agile projects require communication to be transparent. Because of that, there is continuous effort to enhance communications for Agile. Unlike traditional waterfall projects that create robust plans to communicate on the project, because traditional waterfall, they typically have standards and protocols for communication. Agile projects do not flow well with that, because agile projects are meant to be flexible and fluid, and they adapt to changing circumstances. So it's usually not possible to anticipate what could happen. In order to create a proactive communications plan to direct the flow of information throughout the project life cycle. Agile projects manage communications in a different manner. In this video, we discuss the approach to communications when working with Agile and the techniques, the tools that are oftentimes used to communicate on Agile projects. We begin with constant stakeholder collaboration, which responds to the fourth principle in the Agile Manifesto. Business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project life cycle. And that is one major way by which we handle communications on Agile projects. Business people and developers working together. Like I mentioned before, in Agile, business representatives, target users, markets, customers, sponsors, investors, support staff, they are all part of the development process. They are all part of the development process. They are a daily part of the project team, so that we can have constant stakeholder collaboration. If there is any concern they have, we can receive those concerns on a regular basis. If there is any feedback they wish to share, we can receive that feedback on a regular basis. If something is diverting away from expectations, then we can receive that alarm on a regular basis. So in Agile, we appreciate constant stakeholder collaboration, because the principle states that business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project lifecycle. The next thing we want to talk about is constant team communication, which is also responsive to the fourth principle of the Agile Manifesto, which says business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project, with emphasis this time around on developers. Now, on Agile projects, the team members, the developers who create the goals of the user stories are a part of the process constantly. They are involved in everything that happens within the life cycle. When it comes to the sprint planning, estimating for sprints, refining the sprints, the team members are involved in the process. So they could also contribute their inputs to create, estimate, and refine the user stories. We have stand-up meetings, which is also a communication tool in Agile project management, where, like I mentioned before, stand-up meetings are daily, regular meetings that the team members have in order to discuss the progress of their work. And like I said, every stand-up meeting, team members answer to three different questions. What were you able to accomplish yesterday? What do you intend accomplishing today? What obstacles lie in your way? When we communicate like this, then we are able to pull out problems faster, sooner, before they become or they get out of hand. Okay, so during startup meetings, some challenges, some pitfalls are identified, and then we are able to remove them before they become problematic. Okay, and they are all part of the communication strategy of Agile project management. Then we have information radiators. So information radiators in the team area, okay, when the team members are physically co-located, usually they mount wall surfaces and then they post their work there throughout several stages, okay, to show the progress of the work. And these information radiators invariably communicate to us. So it's part of the communication strategies. In fact, if you work with geographically dispersed teams or remote team members, then you can make use of electronic boards. These ones can be accessed via the internet. So wherever the team member is located, they can still follow the progress of the work. They can still see what is required to be done. All the efforts we are talking about can still be done remotely. And as a matter of fact, even for physically located team members, the electronic boards are encouraged because sometimes we work from different locations, we work even from home. Okay, so information radiators are part of the communication tools. As a matter of fact, with Waterfall project management, usually when we want to even communicate the progress of the work, we communicate the progress through emails, fax documents, and then stuff like that. But for Agile, there is no need to do that. For Agile, anybody who wants to know the progress of the work can just visit the electronic board or the Kanban board, the information radiators, and then they will see the progress of the work. Because in Agile, we prefer simplicity. It doesn't have to go through cumbersome communication processes, because on Agile, even the sponsors, investors, end users, they can all be invited to the electronic board. So they are a part of the process. Okay, they are a part of the process. If they want to see the progress of the work, they just log in and then they see what is happening. Then we use sprint retrospectives to also communicate. Now, a retrospective is a process improvement exercise to identify areas that require improvement, to identify areas of challenges, mistakes, pitfalls. And after every sprint meeting, we hold retrospectives, okay? So we can communicate the challenges we are facing on the project and find ways of addressing those challenges. This constant communication strategy of Agile teams enables Agile teams to improve all the time, to become better and better. Then even the concept of servant leadership. You know, with servant leadership, that philosophy that is encouraged in Agile project management, it makes it easy for team members to approach their leaders. Because once your leader or your project manager is a servant leader, he becomes more approachable, he becomes more friendly, he's warm, okay? Unlike waterfall projects where project managers are typically dictators or autocratic leaders issuing instructions. On Agile projects, we usually have servant leaders, and it's a lot easier team members approaching servant leaders and discussing their problems, their challenges, and their mistakes. And even with this philosophy of servant leadership, we say it makes it easier for team members to feel free and discuss some of the mistakes they do. Now, one thing about Agile development is that it's an environment of creativity, it's the environment of exploration, it's the environment of inspiration. And with these kinds of creativity and explorations come mistakes. Okay, but once we have the servant leadership in force, then team members are not even afraid to make mistakes. Okay, the fear of mistakes will also stifle creativity. Okay, so the idea of servant leadership ensures what we call psychological safety for the team members who feel free with their leaders, and then they are not afraid to make mistakes. The next item we talk about in Agile communications is co-location. Co-location. Now, co-location is the idea of putting the team members in one physical space so that communication can be very, very fluid, as opposed to one geographically dispersed team members in different geographic locations, and two, even as opposed to team members in separate cubicles within the same office area. You know, there are some offices, people are in their separate cubicles and you have to knock before you enter. No, that is not what we are talking about. When we talk about co-located spaces, it is when they are in one physical space, okay? And it allows for both formal and informal communications. They are all very important for the progress of the work, okay? Because the moment they are in one physical location, it's easy. It's a lot easier for communications to flow. And then people are able to even eavesdrop. They are able to overhear conversations that may not concern them. And even overhearing conversations that do not concern you, what we call osmotic communication, okay? When you hear things that do not directly concern you, but they are still vital because it helps you understand the team's environment and whatever is going on at any point in time. So when we talk about agile co-locations and stuff like that, we are talking about the common area where the team members work. But with that, we also have what we call caves and commons. Now, the commons has to do with the co-located space, okay? But when we talk about caves, we understand that even though we appreciate the benefits co-location brings to agile projects, we also understand that sometimes team members will need some isolation. They need to be isolated to do some individual brainstorming or meditation, maybe to find a solution to a problem, okay? So when we talk about caves, caves refer to some of these cubicles that are established for such purposes. But generally, the team members work from the common area, okay? And it is only during those moments of impasses, that they may descend to their caves and do some isolated brainstorming or meditations. And then when we have co-located spaces, then we can have these information radiators, okay? These taskboards all around to allow for osmotic communication. Now, if you are working with virtual team members that are geographically dispersed, remote team members, then it becomes difficult to have them in the co-located area. But you must find a way of closing the gap so that you can bring them to the benefit that co-location offers. And one way by which we can do that is to encourage or establish regular teleconferencing. So from time to time, as regular as possible, okay, you have teleconferencing where people see one another's faces. They are in different locations, but they are seeing their faces through a technology device, okay? It closes the gap a bit. And then group messaging, like what we have on WhatsApp, Telegram, so that the team members can interact on a regular basis. It bonds them. And then in a way, you can also have daily stand-up for these remote team members. Through maybe teleconferencing, they can also answer to the 3-stage questions, okay? So that we can know what challenges they are going through and then prepare to remove impediments out of their way. Now, when you have virtual team members too, one other thing that really helps is pairing. Pairing is when you put people together to work on a common task. You pair developers together, these remote team members together, maybe in twos, and then they work together on a common task. And from time to time, you rotate the pairs. You rotate them. You dissolve it, and then you assign them to different pairs. All right, so that they can bond with different people on the project. All right. Now, this whole idea responds to principle number 6 on the Agile Manifesto. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is face-to-face conversation. The final thing we talk about under Agile Communications is sprint reviews. Sprint reviews, okay? And when we talk about sprint reviews, they are the moment when you demonstrate a working feature, when you demonstrate a feature increment to the product owner, to the business representatives, to the client. Simply because principle number 7 says that working software is the primary measure of progress. Now, for traditional waterfall projects, if we want to communicate the progress of the work, we send status reports through emails and stuff like that, just to show that this is where we have gotten to on the project. This is the stage we have reached. This is what we have done, and things like that. But in Agile project management, we say, don't tell, show. Don't tell, show. Show us something. That is how we communicate the progress of the work. We show a working sample. We show something that works. Instead of just mere literature communication, we want to see something, and that comes with incremental delivery. And you understand that philosophy of agile development, where we release features by increment and show him that this is where we have gotten to and it is working. It is in our hands. We can see it. We can experience it. We can see the value instead of receiving a statement or a document showing us where the project has gotten to. We see something that works. Okay, that's why we say we have early and frequent show of value, and with that we can also receive early feedback in order to improve on the product. Remember, we are still training for your PMP project management certification. Join us for in-person classes in Ghana. Wherever you are in the world, in Africa, Europe, America, you can also join our online sessions. Remember, we have a very strong and effective post-training system to get you to the finish line. Also get in touch if you want to pursue the Professional Scrum Master certification, the Certified Scrum Master, or the Agile Certified Practitioner. Together, we will write that victory song. Thank you very much, and see you in the next lesson.